What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Run It Up. Today on the show, we are going to be reviewing end stages of a tournament here. This hand history was sent to me by a Run It Up warrior from the UK who was playing this $11 buy-in tournament that had I believe it was 8,000 people, and asked me if I could take a look at it and see if he made any mistakes or I wanted to hear my thoughts. So I said, okay, let's get back into the apprenticing universe here today. So let's get right back in there. I haven't pre-reviewed any of these hands. I vaguely know the result, but I don't know any hands. I didn't look in advance. I'm actually not even sure if this is final 3 tables or 4. I think it's final 3 tables, but I didn't want to look because I didn't want to spoil any of the hands. So I just picked the end and went on from there. If you guys want to be the next Run Up Apprentice, you can send me an email, dearjcarver@gmail.com, with any kind of hand history or video of you playing, and I'd be happy to take a look at it. Or, sometimes I just go look for tournaments, sometimes for cash games. So shoot that over to me, dearjcarver@gmail.com, and we'll get in there. Let's get right in here today, though. So don't know anything about anybody. We're going to start off basically fresh from this point here and see how it goes. So, okay, looks like it's kind of this is already a weird dynamic. Limp, you would really not expect from this player, and then a min raise from the button, you would not expect. So, at a low-level tournament like this, we're going to try to just be more solid than our opponents, right? We're going to just punish people for making fundamentally wrong mistakes. We're going to just look to avoid making errors ourselves and induce mistakes from our opponents, right? Can't do anything about that in this case, but we're going to keep a sharp eye out to see how this hand develops. Interesting. And takes down. So if I was trying to win this tournament here, I would write some notes about this guy right away. He does some weird min raise against the limp and then folded to a shove that wasn't that big. So we definitely want to keep an eye on this guy. My top suspect for a target for us for value, I would say. Gonna look like we're gonna just fold here. Looks like we probably would have won. All right. So I'm not planning on going through every hand, but I think at first it's good to go through pretty much every hand so we can start getting a feel for how people are playing. Once again, this is a very untraditional re-raise size. It looks like it's a little more than a min raise, and then the big blind makes it basically making this guy never make a mistake, right? He's getting 10-1, he just calls. So whatever this guy has, don't think he is making the optimal decision there. Continues with a half pot bet, gets called. So you would think this would be the street, but we'll find out if this Jack Bauer guy, is for real or not. When he checks, I would think that Mossop would either take a shot if he has somehow nothing or a pocket sevens kind of hand. And if he has a hand that's better, a queen X, maybe he'd check back with some spades, but he could bet just 70k here for value and protection. 60k, doesn't have to bet very much here because you threaten his entire stack. Does decide to check back, though. At this point, if I had a hand that I wanted to bet for value, I would clearly feel comfortable doing so. I think the worst hand that I would bet here for value might be ace-jack, king-jack, stuff like that. I mean, it doesn't seem too likely to me that our opponent has a queen or a jack, so we could even consider betting 10s, 9s, but I think after that it becomes a little too fishy. I still wouldn't bet more than 70 or 80k here for value because I don't think he can call us very often. If we had brick spades, we could shove. I could see that being a reasonable thing to do. 72k. Love the size, actually. All right. Well, I'm glad we didn't bet with 2 10s here. Interesting hand. And the reason why this fella here lost this hand, we can learn from Jack Bauer 24 hours here. The reason this guy lost this hand was because he made such a small re-raise preflop. Look at how this hand could have went differently. This guy makes it 31k. We make it 84k. He just folds. We pick up the pot. No big deal. I mean, I'm not saying that, obviously it's a longer, bigger conversation, and it's not just what you want to do, etc., etc. But when we do this, what happens? He makes it 31, we make it 45, or 48. He just calls with everything, and he doesn't make a mistake with queen 3, right, or queen 6, or whatever it is that he had. He goes, well, I'm getting 7-1. I guess I can't. Even if you have aces, he has the right price to call, right? So he makes no mistake there. Flops top pair, obviously can't fold at this point, has to call, and then plays the rest of the hand very reasonably, and gets value on the river. I actually really like how this guy played this hand, and I think Jack Bauer kind of screwed himself over here. CTU all over again. All right, so I think now this is the official 3 final tables because I'm just guessing that that's what this is, although I guess I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure this is the final 3 tables here. Looks like we're chip leader, by the way. I didn't really talk about that. With a chip lead as big as we have, I definitely want to put pressure on the shorter stacks, which is basically everybody, but can't do much against the shove here. Going to just fold this a6, I assume. Interesting reshove there. All right, our first time entering the fray. Take it down. Nice. Seems like a good start for us. Another raise and take it. When you see 2 raise and takes it, I just 3 now raise and takes it. Oh, look at this, another one. Another raise and take it. When you see this many raise and takes it, it's like you gotta just go to town. This would be a perfect spot to re-raise this guy. What does this guy have? Everybody's min-raising. Nobody's fighting back. When nobody's fighting back, people tend to believe you when you do fight back. To me, this is a great spot to re-raise, as just purely from a card sense position. You know, obviously this guy could have something, and he could just call him. He could get into a weird spot. And I'm not saying you have to, but to me, my spidey senses are going off that this is a potential spot for value for us to attack here. You know, people don't seem like they want to get involved. Look at all these short stacks here. This guy isn't going to want to risk his second place stack, probably, with given how many short stacks these guys are and how everybody's kind of playing kind of tight and solid pre. If he has a decent hand, yeah, he might call and see a flop, but we can always obviously just fire a bet. We're still probably going to win, like, you know, a decent percentage of the time post flop, even with a hand as bad as this one. And if our hand was a little bit better, say our hand was like king 8 suited, queen 6 suited, you know, 10-8 suited, any of those hands, I think those are all great hands to re-raise with here and put this guy in a bit of a cage. Not surprised to see the fold, though, and then this guy just takes down with a small bet pre-flop. All right, so this, in my opinion, is mandatory raise. If our friend here, by the way, if you're new to Run Up Apprentice, I'm pretty brutal to you guys that send me these apprentice histories. It's just brutal truth and love, though. It's not a painful, like, misery-inducing pain, but you know, you gotta learn. You gotta learn. There's no gray area about it. So to me, this is a mandatory raise. This is a mandatory raise. We have a king on the button against 2 guys who, this guy seems decent, but you know, this guy is short stacked. We haven't seen any reason to believe that either of these players are going to be really aggressive against us. We can raise to 28,000 to win 35,000. So we're not even risking the size of the pot. So it doesn't have to work very often at all to show a profit. And again, if he calls, we're more likely, if either player calls, we're more likely to win the pot than either of them are when we're in position, especially with a hand as good as a king. So if our hero folds this is not going to be a good sign for the rest of the video to come. We have 2.2 million and we fold the king on the button. This would be help me JCarver status if we fold this here. Oh, thank God. Okay. okay. I'm with you so far, Public Enemy. Public Enemy, so far, so good. So here we are in this spot, which is actually very similar to the last spot. It's actually similar to both of the last spots we were just talking about. So to me, once again, I would feel like this is a great situation to, pressing buttons. This is a great situation to put some pressure on this guy to the right of us. We can raise it to 65K, 63K, 66K, 71K. I mean, you know, pretty small raise sizing here. And let's say we make it like 63,000 here, which is the pot size, right? Let's say you make it, which is not really pot, but you know what I mean? Let's say we make it like 71K here to risking 71K to win 63. First of all, 71K is basically nothing to us, where it's very significant to everybody else here. Puts a ton of pressure on this guy. Do you want to go home right now? I would bet you that our image looks so good and so pure because we haven't done anything like this before. I would guess that it will work very likely. If he wants to reshove, okay, of course he can reshove and we would just have to fold. But again, he's putting his tournament life on the line. There's either 3 or 2 tables left in the tournament. There's plenty of these guys who have short stacks left. And if he wants to call, we're going to win more than our fair share of the time, given that we have position and a pretty reasonable hand. I think calling is the second best option here, but I just don't think we're going to win the pot. We're not going to win as big of a pot or as often, I think, by just calling. In the old days, I would almost always just call here, and it's not bad, especially if you know the players behind you are really aggressive, or this guy is really aggressive pre-flop with re-raises. But besides that, I think I would be more inclined to raise than call. Folding, I think, is the worst option. All right, middle of the line. So, I mean, okay, well, obviously this is not anticipated action that we would think to see, but and we know this guy is a bit of a loose cannon, so this is not like shocking. So we're going to lose this pot here. But think about how different this would be if this player folds, which he most likely will. Think about what would have happened most likely if he had raised, we would have re-raised. You either fold pre, probably, possibly, and then the flop could come, or he calls, and the flop comes 4-4-7, and we are a huge favorite to have the best hand, or to get him to fold, rather, because the 4-4-7 board is so much more likely to improve us as the pre-flop re-raiser than him as the guy who just raised and then called. So I assume we're all losing this pot, but yeah, I think we would have won this pot had we re-raised pre. At least it's possible. I'm saying there's a chance. No chance for us this hand. Ooh, ace-king takes that one down. See you later, that fella. So So this guy just raised and got it in with ace queen pre, just won the very last hand, and now is in this pot the very next hand. We're only 7-handed at this table. I think once again this would be another spot where I would really like to see a re-raise. This seems like a great situation to put pressure on this guy. He's probably going to be wider here than most people. He just won a big pot. He has a bunch of chips. All these guys don't really threaten him too much. We have an ace, a decent ace in position on this guy and making it like 70,000 here. I think he'll fold pre-flop pretty often, and if he calls, okay, whatever. We see the flop with ace 10 offsuit in position. So I think calling is again not the best choice, but I guess it's not as bad as folding. But I would like to see us re-raise here with this hand. Well, welcome to the cage, sir. This is just not good, I think. This thing happens and we allow our opponents to put us in a situation where we're like, well, we're getting 4-1. That seems like a pretty good price. But, you know, he could have, like, he could easily have us dominated or destroyed, and our hand doesn't look very strong, and it isn't very strong, which is never a good thing in poker. And the fact that this guy is sticking around too also has me worried. If we had 10-9 suited, yeah, sure, let's flick the money in the pot. Let's see a flop dealer. But as is, this is not a situation that I want to continue in. I wish we had been the re-raiser pre-flop. Maybe he would have even folded a hand like ace-queen offsuit or ace-jack suited. But playing our hand this way probably allowed this guy to play correctly and might have caused us to make a mistake. Let's see how the rest of this hand goes. I like how this guy plays. This guy is my current pick to win the tournament. He has played several hands very well, I feel like. For a $10 buy-in tournament, I've been impressed. By the way, once again, it folds around to the button here. We've seen this happen enough times now that, especially with this guy and this guy not being in the pot, like as in him being in the blind, I guess is not great. But to me, every time that the button, and we know this guy's a bit of a loose cannon too, but I'm looking for spots to try to win the blinds and antes. We have the chips to try. We want to put pressure on people. Like, I don't think we folded anything reasonable here. This was okay, but I'm looking for spots to actively try to win the blinds and antes. Ooh, big bluff there by the king queen offsuit. That's why he raised it up pre-flop, bro. Limp check. That's the mistake. He's got 1.2 million. The guy's got 300k. Why are we checking? Punish this guy. He limps with any two cards. You know, he's got anything. Why are we not punishing him with king queen offsuit? In my opinion, we should be punishing this guy. Why not? And then he bets and we call, of course. Now this guy doesn't make any mistakes. He has an 8. He just says, okay, I bet twice. And then he check calls river correctly somehow, some way. Nice hand by him. And Mr. Gomez did not play the hand the way I would have played the hand. Mossop once again wins another pot. Another excellently played hand by that fella over there. You know, I love defending, and you can really defend widely, and we basically have the right price to defend here, but this is kind of a defend that I would not feel awful about us folding. If we want to fold this, it's okay. The fact there is a big blind in antes just sitting out there, and he min-raised, I mean, I would probably defend this, as crazy as it is, and just play like relatively conservatively post-flop, but I wouldn't hate to see a fold here. Pocket aces. So against this guy, I think usually we could raise to like 38k, 40k. That would be fine. He's going to continue a decent amount of time, getting a pretty good price and position, and we give him a chance to re-raise and put a bunch of pressure on us pre. I actually think that against this guy, who seems to understand the value of aggression, I think I don't mind just calling also. Again, if it was Jason Somerville playing, I think I'd be more inclined to call because people kind of expect me to call a lot these days, and so I would want to do that with aces too. As a random member of the public, I feel like raising is probably a little bit better, but I don't hate either way. This is a pretty big raise, although I guess obviously it's fine. If he has anything decent, he's going to continue, but I don't want to get him, you know, you don't want him to look at his hand and go, it's only king 7, I just fold. Like, you want him to look at the math and go, okay, because that makes him make a mistake, right? So I want to give him every reason to encourage him to stick around in this pot pre-flop, right? So I don't think this is terribly against that by any means, but I think I would have made it a little bit smaller. Punished. How do I feel about this? Against Wild Cannon McGee over here under the gun, I think it's fine to just not try to be aggressive here. Interesting. Everybody's just calling bets. Okay. I'm not going to go through the same routine as the last time with the Queen 9 suited, but this is basically the same exact situation, only calling I think is even worse this time. This guy's short. This guy we know is aggressive. This guy we know is good. I would love to see a re-raise here, but I would bet you we're not going to see that. Oh, another sweet hand from Mossop, perhaps. This is a great turn card for him to keep betting on as preflop re-raiser, obviously. He only has to bet like 130, 150k, 140k. Puts a lot of pressure on this guy unless he has an ace in his hand. Check, check. Interesting. Interesting. So what could this mean? What do we think this guy has? So he raised and then just called and then check called and then check checked and then now bet out like a third pot or less even on the river. So what do we think about what this guy has? He could have an ace in his hand, just be like, I've got ace jack. Bet so you don't check back with pocket eights, which could be a thing. I doubt this is a bluff because that's a very weird bluff to make. It could be some sort of like a blocking bet. He has like 2 10s and he doesn't want to check call. So he's like, I'll just bet 100,000. Maybe he'll just call me. This could be a spot where you could ship raise as a bluff. But again, if he ever has an ace, he's just like call. And then you just are out. So maybe shipping isn't the best thing, but you could always make it like 350k and put a lot of pressure on him. Although I don't think I love that spot. Those are the things that tend to end in sadness. But let's see what Mossop decides to do here. Call. Okay, I don't think I hate how Mossop played it at all. There's almost no chance that he can get his opponent to fold on the turn. I mean, given that he turns an ace, obviously he re-raised pre, which was correct, and bet flop, obviously check back turn, then had to pay it off on the river, getting like 4-1 or whatever. So I think he played his hand very reasonably, and this is really good for us because whenever chips move from our left to our right, that's always better for us. We're much more likely to win the chips than the players on our right, given how position works at the table. We're way more likely to win the chips off the players to our right than we are to the players on our left, especially when a good player like Mossop loses a pot. Obviously, we're always happy to see that. Let's move on to the next one. This is almost a mandatory min raise in my opinion. He just lost a pot. He's going to be kicking dirt over there, kind of upset, probably not looking to fight us for no reason. I know he's short stacked, and that's a little concerning. And this guy also is a bit of a loose cannon, and this guy is also short stacked. But that being said, we make it 32k to win 40k. We're going to do just fine in the long run here. And we have like 2.2 billion chips. Yes, billion chips. So I feel like this is a very mandatory attack here for us with our stack. Let's see if Public Enemy does it right. That would be a nit bitch status. Do you look at this? If you're at home and you're like, yeah, I would have folded too. Well, look at this. Look at that. Oh, yeah. A guy that had 10 big blinds now has another 2.5 big blinds because of your nittery. That's right. I'd be embarrassed too. Now we decided to raise. I'm not sure why we decided to raise this hand and not the last hand, because the last hand was a better spot than this one, but okay, sure. Also, not really sure why we decided to make it 3x instead of like 2x or 2.5x. Like, this could be okay, but I feel like we'd rather experiment towards the smaller side so we can make a more efficient raise versus making it 98k for reasons I'm not quite sure exactly of why. We get punished when we get re-raised. We just lose more. Our fold equity is not significantly higher making it 3x than making it 2x or 2.5x rather. So I'm not really sure why we're starting out so big. Maybe we have a history, have a reason to do it, but as far as I can tell, don't really get it. Interesting. So our opponent in the big blind has decided to re-raise us, and obviously I'm a little worried, but I don't believe that we're going to be bigger than this much of a dog. Can you guys see that? Yeah. I don't think we're going to have, I'm pretty sure we have 23% equity against whatever nonsense it is that he has here. We're getting over 3-1. This would be one of the worst folds I've ever seen in Run-Up Apprentice if we folded this here. So stay tuned for that one. I should go to a commercial now. I did commercials. But yeah, this would be really bad of a fold. We open, obviously I'm worried, but we have such a good price. We have to continue this. This is like, we have billion chips. If we just had 200k, then we go, man, well, we probably shouldn't have opened for 3x then, should we? So given that we have so many chips, folding here would be beyond atrocious, but let's see what happens. Thank God. Thank Jacob for that one. Anyway, so okay, interesting flop here. So my guess is that I'm a little worried about this guy, but given that he has basically a 2x pot and we have a pair and a gut shot, we basically aren't going to fold. I don't think there's anything we can do. He could always have ace king, ace queen. You could always have like, I guess there are not a lot of great hands for us, but I'm pretty sure at this point we're going to be pot committed for the rest. Let's see what happens here. 87k. So when he bets 88k here, if there is a chance that he can make an incorrect fold, like if there's a chance he can ever fold better, we should shove. Is there a chance of that? If there's a chance he ever makes a mistake with his equity, we should also shove. So let's say he has ace king and we shove here. He would get a price of like, he'd have to call 330 to win, 630. So he'd be making a correct decision to fold with ace king here. but not like a crazy one by any means. So I'm not really sure if we should just call or shove. We also will win this pot sometimes by just calling, and let's say the turn is a 7. So there are some turn cards that don't improve us that we could potentially bluff on. Turn could be a jack. Maybe he'll check fold a hand like 2 kings. Again, doesn't happen always, but might happen. Turn card could just be like, I guess that's probably it. Could be a king. Maybe he check folds aces or queens once in a while. Again, not a thing that I anticipate happening often, but I think calling is probably a little bit better, though I wouldn't hate shoving either, especially if you thought there was a chance this player could make a folding mistake here and fold like pocket tens, which would be insane, or like, pocket queens, which again would be insane. So that's why I don't think that really makes a lot of sense. I think I would just call. Nice. That would be one of the worst turn cards for us here, and now that he has under a pot size bet, I'm going to imagine he's going to shove here with basically anything decent, and I think we have to just fold. We're going to be getting like about 2 and change to 1, but I don't think that's going to be enough for us to continue, and I think we're going to have to fold. He bets pretty small. Once again, like, do we have 20% here? We probably do. We have a pair and a gut shot. Like, mathematically speaking, we probably do. And once in a while, not very often, but once in a while, we actually have the best hand right here as well. I think folding now, though, is just fine because the math is like, okay, if he ever has jacks or ace-jack, like, it's really close, though. It's really close. If he bet 95K, I think we would call. I think he might have bet, like, just enough to force us to fold here on the turn. But this is an interesting spot. If he just shoves, then we would just fold. But I think when he bets less, we're actually very close to calling given how many outs we have, or likely outs we have. But I think folding is fine. Okay. So I wish this turn card had came. I wish this card had came on the turn and not the river, because this is going to be a tough spot for him to check fold, given that there's 700K in the pot already. But on the turn, I think we would have won this pot pretty often. On the river, I'm not really sure. Yeah, no, we just fold. He must have had spades or maybe like tens, jack 10, something like that. I don't hate how we played that hand, but I think I would have played it a little bit differently. Not an easy one to play though. Similar situation to one we just had. Again, another very small re-raise out of the big blind. Once again, can't fold. Look at that price. Oh my god. I dream about these kind of situations happening, okay? Let's see a flop dealer. All right. Fair fight. Pocket fours under the gun. Seems like a fine raise size. I believe blinds have went up. We're going to start with the bet against the guy who's as loose as this guy. Betting like 55K seems okay. He's loose pre, but if he doesn't have an ace or connectivity here, I think he'll just fold post. We could even bet like 45K and just try to get him to fold hands like king jack, maybe like 2 6s, stuff like that would be awesome if he folded that. This is probably a little bit on the bigger side. I don't think this really makes a difference between like 60K and 72K. Only we just save half a blind or whatever. So let's see what happens here. Not the best turn card for us. I think I agree with checking it down option at this point. And we lose to a 7. Damn. That sucks. That sucks for us. We obviously could have bet again somehow and won this hand, but I don't think it's like terrible by any means. Really loose peel by him pre, but it's okay. He just likes peeling. Nothing wrong with that. Certainly going to defend here in the big blind for a min raise. Any run-it-up fan who folds 5-6 suited to a min raise. The episode's over, boys. Wrap it up. It's over. So this is a good spot to check raise. Every once in a while, I like check raising in these spots because all he did is min raise and then bet. He's late position, could have anything. Probably has like 40% of hands pre-flop, maybe 30 or whatever it is. But he's pretty wide here. We have a 3 straight, 3 flush. 2 overcards, the bottom pair. That means something. And he could fold hands like jack 10 every once in a while. He could make big folding mistakes and fold like pocket 8s to us, or like, ace jack, ace 10. He definitely would fold those hands. And so to me, check raising here to like 105K. Once again, we have the chips to spare. It's a good place to put pressure on. This guy's probably not going to want to continue too often. Obviously, we're getting closer to the deep parts of the tournament. There are some guys who are shorter. He hasn't seen us ever check raise. There's not really a ton of reasons to believe. We could have pocket 4s, king 9, 9-4 suited, king 4 suited. Like, there are plenty of reasonable hands we could have in the spot. And if we turn 7s, 3s, diamonds, 5s, or 6s, we have some reason to continue either being aggressive or just calling. We'd debate which one that would be. And I'm not saying you have to do it here, but if you're not thinking about it, you're missing out on opportunities. You should always be looking for spots like that to fight. Nick Diaz poker, okay? That's what we want to be trying to accomplish here. Swarming them. Always thinking, trying to mix it up, get in there. This is a mandatory raise in my opinion. I mean, you could call hoping that Mossop shoves, but I mean, when this guy limps, we've seen him limp before, we got to punish him. We have a really good hand in the small blind. Let's raise it up, play for more. Do not agree with that one. Now we decide to lead, which I guess is okay. Gotta check call at this point, I would think. I mean, this is about as scary of a turn card as it can get. I don't want to fold, but I think we gotta start with a check. Or not. Okay. Okay. Well, you're on your own now, kid, because I would not have bet this turn card. So now what do you do? I'd love to see it. I have no clue. Let's find out together. Are we going to be a hero, or are we going to be a little bitch and just check? I would not have thought that what we would have done there. So how do I feel about this? What do we have? I'm just going to play with my scimitar while we talk about this here. What do we have? We let out on flop. We just limped preflop for one, which is already insane and makes the rest of this hand make no sense, because what do we have? What nut heart do we have? Thank you for the sword. What nut heart do we have that would limp pre, or we have the Queen of Hearts? I mean, what in the world do we have that would play this way, that would limp pre, bet flop, bet turn, and bomb the river? We have a Queen of Hearts. We have the Ace of Hearts. If we have the Ace of Hearts, why wouldn't we raise preflop with a lot of the hands that have the Ace of Hearts in them? If we had the Queen of Hearts, why would we bet so much? I mean, obviously it's okay, because if he just has nothing, he just folds, but like, we could just bet less. I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, it's I love the gumption, but I think this is a little bit like Spew City. I mean, I don't know why we didn't raise pre. That would have been my first thing we did here, and I would have loved the rest of this bluff if we started out with a raised pre-flop, because then it's like we've got a decent hand. We could have clearly Ace of Hearts, plenty of Aces of Hearts, and but instead when we just call and do the rest of this nonsense, I'm not a huge fan. And neither is our opponent, apparently. Got ya. Sorry, bud. Sorry, bud. Tried to be a hero. Please raise this. I know we just got beaten up a little bit, but come on. These guys are short stacks. We've got still a million chips. Still like in second at this table. No. Please. The scimitar of pain has just been thrust into me. Oh, man. Brutal. Have you watched Run It Up before? King 9 offsuit just folding? That was not good. Sorry, bud. Mossop. Love the play by Mossop here. This guy we know this guy is a bit of a loose cannon, and he just bets out, which makes no sense, obviously. He just called pre, and now he's like, oh, I bet half of the pot. Yeah, sure you do. And then he just min raises him, beautifully puts him in the cage here, with or without it. Actually, if he has like a set, he shouldn't raise, but anything else, I don't mind it. I like how he did this here. I'm going to pretend he had 10-9 suited. That's just what I'm going to say for our boy Mossop over there. So, nice play by him. We're going to have to get our train back on the rails over here, because we need it. Hashtag we need it. Hashtag badly. Another walk. I mean, this is so sad. This hurts me so badly as a tournament poker player. Every time that the blinds walk around, I feel like, fuck, man, can I have raised this hand? Every single time that happens, that's how I think. Every single time. So if you're not fighting for the blinds and antes, you are not maximizing your potential as a poker player. It's just true. Sorry for being so mean today. I hurt because I love, okay? Come on. I'm trying to just correct. You gotta have the impact onto your thought process here. Don't know what this is. This is another lovely hand of poker here. Another correct decision from Mossop. Mossop 7, if you see this video, I'd love to back you in tournaments, buddy. You're playing fucking great. Let's see how this hand goes. So I believe it was small re-raise call, check, and now this guy's bet out on the river. Could be for value. I would be surprised if this was a bluff, because we know this guy doesn't like folding, and he bet an amount that looks like he wants to be called. Even like ace king or ace queen could call here if he really wanted. He could have 6-7 spades, and we know he peels wide to small re-raises correctly because he had the queen 6 earlier in the video. So let's see what happens here. Yeah, I don't love this bluff. Sorry, buddy. I take back my offer to stake you. Sorry, bro. I really don't like that bluff there. Like, he probably is like, well, I guess I have to bluff, but he doesn't really have to. He does have ace high. He actually does win sometimes. But the other thing is, like, I don't really think that this guy is looking for reasons to fold. And so we bet not a lot, and then we bet on a river card that wasn't great for folding on, and, etc., etc. I'm not really in love with this by any means. Let's play a couple more hands for this video today. Looks like that was not going to be one that we're going to play here. Our guy is all in. Pocket aces. Wow, big call with the ace-9. Another battle here between Mossop and Mr. Bauer. Nice. All right. Okay, cool. So we got moved here. This is the perfect time to pause this video. I think we've not moved to the second table. I think there are either 2 or 3 tables still remaining. If you've enjoyed today's video, let's do a full screen wrap up. If you've enjoyed today's video, please let me know about it in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video. That's how I know you liked the video. So please, that would be great. If you want to be the next Run-Up Apprentice, please send me an email. DearJCarver@gmail.com. Can be a tournament or a cash game. Don't care which. Could be any stakes. Could be PLO. I don't really care. Sometimes I just go look and I just say, what do I have in my inbox today? And I just find whatever, and that's how we pick things like this. So stay tuned for the completion of this. I'm going to proceed with this tomorrow, but I don't know if we'll necessarily wrap with this. And if you guys don't love these videos, I might just pause this and go play some Run It Up, and then come back to finish this out in a couple days. Let me know what you guys think about all this, because obviously now we're a little bit closer to real time as far as between my video creation and you guys seeing it. So let me know what you thought about this again in the comments below, and I will see you guys back for more Run It Up action tomorrow. Peace. Gotta respect the power of King High, boys and girls. Don't bet too big. Don't bet too big. It's a little too big. Then let's punish this little bitch, right? I'm gonna get a whip. That is the next item I'm gonna have and Run It Up here. I'm just gonna get a whip that I can just crack whenever I'm mad at Run It Up Apprentice. Please. What kind of nit bitchery is this?